All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a literal existential threat to our current encryption systems: quantum computing. We'll explore exactly what that means for your data and how the entire world is basically in a massive race against the clock to fix it. The stakes here, they really couldn't be higher.
So here's a wild thought. Is your data already vulnerable to a computer that doesn't even fully exist yet? The terrifying answer is yes, absolutely. There's a tactic out there called harvest now, decrypt later. Basically, attackers are stealing heavily encrypted data today, hoarding it like crazy, with the sole intention of cracking it wide open tomorrow, the second those quantum computers arrive.
Here's how we're going to break this down. First, the quantum threat approaching. Then, the global migration deadlines. Third, how we actually choose these new algorithms. Fourth, the massive danger of rushed code. And finally, the case for hybrid security. Okay, Section 1. The quantum threat approaches, the existential threat to encryption.
So, going back to that harvest now, decrypt later concept, the crucial point you need to understand is that even if a full-scale quantum computer isn't sitting on a hacker's desk right this second, your long-term secrets are already at risk. We're talking national security data, proprietary corporate IP, your personal health records, all of it. An adversary literally just has to intercept your encrypted traffic today and, well, buy a hard drive big enough to store it. It's like a ticking time bomb.
Moving right along to Section 2, global PQC migration deadlines. Governments are setting the clock.
Now, what's fascinating is how fast global governments are mandating a fix. Look at the U.S. CNSA 2.0 roadmap. These deadlines, they aren't some vague kick-the-can-down-the-road future problem. They're starting right now. By 2025, which is basically tomorrow, new software, firmware, and web browsers actually must be quantum resistant. By 2027, that rule hits operating systems and new national security systems. Then legacy systems get phased out by 2030, and boom, a hard stop in 2035 for everything to be fully quantum resistant. And the big takeaway here? This is a coordinated global push. Canada, the EU, the UK, they've all set similar hard stop roadmaps, hitting that exact same 2035 deadline.
Section 3. Choosing the new algorithms. NIST's third-round candidates.
So how are we actually solving this? Well, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, is purposely diversifying the math. They're evaluating a whole portfolio beyond just traditional lattice-based math to figure out what works best. It's all about trade-offs, right? For example, you've got isogenies like SQISON, which gives you the absolute smallest combined key and signature size. Then you have lattice variants like Hawk, shorter signatures, no floating point math. You've got MPC in the head for really strong security and fast computation. And then multivariant systems like UOV. Those give you blazing fast speeds, but the trade-off is massive public key sizes. The whole goal is to build a highly robust, varied cryptographic ecosystem.
But here's the catch. This new math, it has to work everywhere, not just on massive, powerful servers. Embedded engineers have to push this post-quantum cryptography, or PQC, all the way to the edge, onto really constrained IoT devices. I mean, these things are heavily limited by RAM, flash storage, and CPU cycles. To keep these tiny devices from just completely melting down, you have to carefully scale your security levels. For short-lived sessions or, say, fleeting sensor data, NIST Level 1 using ML-Chem 512 is totally fine. You'd only reserve the heavy-duty Level 3 or 5 crypto for long-term secrets like a device's core identity keys. Plus, leveraging things like ARMv7 DSP instructions, that's absolutely critical just to keep the throughput optimized. It's a massive engineering balancing act.
Which brings us to Section 4, the danger of rushed code. The mathematics works, but the code is broken.
Right when you think we've got this figured out, we hit a wall. 1 second. That is the exact amount of time it takes to recover an ML-DSA secret key due to software bugs. Cryptographer Daniel J. Bernstein recently showed that simple coding errors, things like coefficient repeating or nonce reuse, can literally allow an attacker to crack an ML-DSA key on a standard laptop in under a single second. So yeah, the underlying math might be totally quantum-proof, but if the code itself is rushed and flawed, it just acts like a wide-open backdoor.
And it gets scarier. Based on historical vulnerability data for cryptographic libraries, Bernstein actually estimates that 25% of ML-DSA libraries will ship with severe vulnerabilities right at their initial release. Really think about that for a second. 1 in 4 implementations of this absolutely vital new security standard will probably have a critical bug, allowing attackers to forge signatures on day 1.
To show you just how bad rushed code can be, let's look at a recent audit by Symbolic Software.
They audited CE Labs' supposedly verified cryptographic code and found a bug that incorrectly rejected 75% of perfectly valid ECDSA P256 signatures. The culprit? Literally a simple 1-byte length mismatch. But in practice, it meant a TLS client using that code would fail to connect with 3 out of 4 legitimate servers. It completely breaks the functionality.
Oh, and it gets worse. That exact same audit found TLS implementations that completely discarded authentication tags during encryption. They were essentially performing zero certificate validation. The result? A TLS record containing ciphertext with absolutely zero integrity protection. This just proves that implementing complex, brand-new cryptography at breakneck speed is a total recipe for disaster. You really can't just slap a mandate on a calendar and expect flawless execution.
All right, final part. Section 5. The case for hybrid security, why we need the seatbelt. So, how on earth do we resolve this tension between urgent government mandates and the reality of buggy, dangerous code? The answer is a hybrid approach. On the left side, you've got a solo ML-DSA deployment. You're completely relying on new, complex, unhardened code. As we just saw, that carries a massive risk of severe bugs bypassing your security entirely. We're talking potentially 10 times more breakable keys over the next 5 years. No thanks. But on the right, you have a hybrid deployment. This combines our proven traditional elliptic curve cryptography, or ECC, with the new ML-DSA. It retains our battle-tested ECC and basically just stacks quantum resistance on top as a safety layer. Think of it like a seatbelt. Deploying solo ML-DSA without keeping ECC is exactly like building a blazing fast sports car and leaving out the seatbelts just to save a little time on the assembly line. The computational cost to implement this hybrid seatbelt is negligible, but the protection it gives you against software bugs is immense. Security expert Marin Ivashek really hit the nail on the head here. He said, the irony of making systems less secure in the name of quantum security should not be lost on anyone. I want to leave you with that provocative thought. We absolutely have to prepare for the quantum future. The clock is 100% ticking. But doing it recklessly with untested solo code, that's just the ultimate self-inflicted wound. We need to migrate, but we need to do it with our seatbelts securely fastened. So how secure is the brand new crypto code in your organization's pipeline right now? It's definitely a question worth asking today. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.